The sun was rising over the Blue Monster at Trump Doral. The final round of the most controversial tournament in golf history was about to begin. Thousands of fans had camped out overnight. Millions more were watching from home. The leaderboard was stacked. The drama was intense. And then, without warning, everything fell apart. It started with a whisper, a rumor that spread through the gallery like wildfire. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. Within minutes, officials were huddling. Within an hour, the entire tournament was in jeopardy. The final round, the culmination of months of planning and millions of dollars, was on the verge of being canceled. Fans who had traveled from around the world were left stunned. Players who had fought for 4 days to reach this moment were left furious. The PGA Tour, already reeling from a season of controversies, was facing its biggest crisis yet. What happened at Trump Doral? Why is the final round in trouble? And who is to blame? The answers are shocking. The golf world is in chaos. And the final round of the Trump Doral tournament may never be played. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The Trump Doral tournament was supposed to be the PGA Tour's crowning achievement of 2026. After years of controversy surrounding Donald Trump's ownership of the course, after years of boycotts and protests and political battles, the tour had finally decided to bring a signature event to Miami. The field was stacked. The purse was massive. The television ratings were expected to be through the roof, and for 3 days, everything went according to plan. The weather was perfect. The crowds were electric. The golf was thrilling. But then came Sunday. The trouble began at 6 a.m. when tournament officials received an anonymous letter. The letter, which was addressed to the PGA Tour commissioner, contained a detailed threat. It claimed that a significant disruption would occur during the final round. It did not specify what that disruption would be. It did not claim responsibility. It simply warned that something was coming. The letter was handed over to local law enforcement immediately. The FBI was notified. Security was increased. But the damage was already done. Word of the threat leaked to the media within hours. Social media exploded. Fans who had been excited for the final round were now anxious. Some decided not to attend. Others demanded refunds. The atmosphere, which had been festive for 3 days, turned tense. The players were informed of the threat during their morning warm-ups. According to sources inside the locker room, the reaction was mixed. Some players wanted to continue. They argued that giving in to threats would set a dangerous precedent. Others wanted to postpone or cancel. They argued that safety should come first. The debate was heated. Voices were raised. In the end, the players were told that the decision would be made by the PGA Tour, not by them. The tour held an emergency meeting at 8 a.m. Commissioner Jay Monahan was on the phone from tour headquarters in Florida. Local law enforcement officials were in the room. Security experts presented their assessments. The consensus was that the threat was credible enough to take seriously, but not specific enough to justify canceling the round. The recommendation was to proceed with heightened security. Monahan agreed. The final round would be played, but the decision did not calm the chaos. As the first tee time approached, protesters began gathering outside the gates. They were not there to disrupt the golf. They were there to make a political statement. Trump Doral has been a target of protests since Trump announced his latest presidential campaign. The tournament had drawn protesters all week, but Sunday was different. The crowd was larger. The energy was angrier. Some protesters attempted to breach the gates. Police pushed them back. Arrests were made. The scene was chaotic. Inside the course, fans were divided. Some were angry at the protesters for ruining the atmosphere. Others were sympathetic to their cause. A few joined the protests themselves, walking off the course in solidarity. The golf, which should have been the focus, became an afterthought. The leaderboard was ignored. The shots were barely noticed. All eyes were on the chaos unfolding beyond the ropes. As the final round of the Trump Doral tournament descended into chaos, the players on the course faced an impossible situation. How do you focus on a 6-foot putt when you can hear protesters chanting outside the gates? How do you concentrate on a drive when you are worried about your family's safety in the gallery? The mental toll was immense, and it showed in the play. The first group teed off at 9 a.m. The atmosphere was eerie. The usual sounds of a golf tournament, applause, encouragement, the clinking of glasses, were replaced by silence, punctuated by distant shouts from beyond the gates. The fans who remained were subdued. They cheered politely but without enthusiasm. It felt less like a sporting event and more like a funeral. The leader entering the final round was Scottie Scheffler. He had played brilliantly for 3 days, shooting 67, 68, 69 to take a 3-shot lead. But on Sunday, he looked like a different player. He bogeyed the first hole, he bogeyed the third, he double bogeyed the fifth. By the time he reached the turn, his lead was gone. He was tied with Rory McIlroy, who had played steady, unspectacular golf. The two best players in the world were locked in a battle. But neither seemed to care. McIlroy was asked about the atmosphere after his round. "It was weird," he admitted. "You could feel the tension. The fans were distracted. The players were distracted. It was hard to get into a rhythm." Scheffler was even more blunt. "It didn't feel like golf," he said. "It felt like something else. I don't know what, but it wasn't golf." The chaos outside the gates continued to escalate. By midday, the crowd of protesters had grown to over 1,000. Police in riot gear formed a line. Helicopters circled overhead. News crews broadcast live from the scene. The images were beamed around the world. The tournament, which was supposed to showcase the best of professional golf, was instead showcasing the worst of American division. Inside the course, the players tried to ignore the chaos. They tried to focus on their games, but it was impossible. Every few minutes, a new wave of noise would wash over the course. Chants, shouts, sometimes the blare of a police siren. The players flinched. The fans flinched. The officials flinched. No one felt safe. The breaking point came at 2 p.m. A small group of protesters broke through a secondary gate and made it onto the course. They were tackled by security within seconds. No one was hurt, but the damage was done. The tournament was suspended indefinitely. Players were escorted off the course. Fans were told to evacuate. The final round, with 9 holes remaining for most players, was officially in jeopardy. The announcement was made over the public address system. Due to security concerns, the final round has been suspended. Please exit the course calmly and follow the directions of security personnel. The fans obeyed. But they were not calm. They were stunned. Many had traveled hundreds of miles to be here. They had spent thousands of dollars on tickets, hotels, and flights. And now they were being sent home without seeing the finish. The suspension of the final round at Trump Doral sent shockwaves through the golf world. Fans who had been watching from home were left confused. The broadcast cut abruptly to a studio panel, which struggled to explain what was happening. Social media exploded with theories and outrage. The PGA Tour, already reeling from a season of controversies, was facing its biggest crisis yet. Let us examine the immediate fallout. First, the fans. The fans who were evacuated from the course were angry. Many took to social media to express their frustration. "I spent $2,000 to be here," one fan wrote, "and I didn't even see the finish. This is a disgrace." Others were more understanding. "Safety comes first," another fan wrote. "I'm disappointed, but I'm not angry." The majority of fans, however, were simply shocked. They could not believe that a PGA Tour event had been disrupted by protests. It had never happened before. It felt surreal. Second, the players. The players were escorted off the course and taken to a secure area. They were not told when or if the final round would resume. Some players were furious. They had trained for months for this tournament. They had played their hearts out for 3 days. And now, their chance to win was being taken away by forces beyond their control. Other players were more philosophical. "It's disappointing," one said. "But there are bigger things in life than golf." Third, the PGA Tour. The tour released a statement within hours of the suspension. "The safety of our players, fans, and staff is our top priority. Due to a security breach at Trump Doral, we have made the difficult decision to suspend the final round. We are working with local law enforcement to assess the situation. Further updates will be provided as soon as possible." The statement was careful. It did not blame anyone. It did not speculate about the future. It simply stated the facts. But behind the scenes, the tour was in crisis mode. Commissioner Jay Monahan convened an emergency board meeting. Lawyers were consulted. Security experts were debriefed. The question on everyone's mind was simple: should the final round be resumed or canceled? There were arguments on both sides. Those who argued for resumption pointed to the integrity of the competition. The players had earned the right to finish. The fans had paid to see a champion crowned. Canceling the round would be unfair to everyone. Those who argued for cancellation pointed to the safety risks. The protesters had shown that they were willing to breach security. There was no guarantee that they would not try again. Resuming the round could put lives at risk. The decision was not made quickly. Hours passed. The sun began to set. The players waited. The fans waited. The world waited. And still, no announcement came. As darkness fell over Trump Doral, the PGA Tour finally made its decision. The final round would not be resumed on Sunday. It would be postponed until Monday morning. The announcement was met with mixed reactions. Some fans were relieved. Others were frustrated. The players were mostly relieved. They wanted to finish, but they understood that safety came first. The decision to postpone rather than cancel was significant. It meant that the tournament would have a champion. It meant that the players' efforts over 3 days would not be wasted. But it also meant that the chaos would continue for another day. The protesters had promised to return. The security forces would need to be even more prepared. The atmosphere would be even more tense. The players spent Sunday night in their hotel rooms trying to rest. Most could not sleep. The events of the day played over and over in their minds. The sounds of the protesters, the sight of the police, the feeling of being escorted off the course. It was not how they had imagined the final round of a signature event. Scottie Scheffler, who still held a share of the lead despite his terrible start, spent the evening with his wife and child. He did not watch the news. He did not check social media. He simply tried to relax. "I can't control what happened," he told a teammate. "I can only control how I respond. Tomorrow, I will go out and play my game. That's all I can do." Rory McIlroy, who was tied with Scheffler, took a different approach. He watched the news. He read the social media posts. He wanted to understand what had happened and why. "I'm not just a golfer," he told a friend. "I'm a citizen. I need to know what's going on in my country." His research did not calm him. It only made him more anxious. The protesters, meanwhile, claimed victory. Their goal had been to disrupt the tournament. They had succeeded. In a statement released Sunday evening, the protest organizers said, "We showed the world that golf cannot be separated from politics. Trump Doral is not just a golf course. It is a symbol of division, and we will not stop until that symbol is removed." The PGA Tour did not respond to the statement, but sources say that tour officials are considering whether to ever return to Trump Doral. The tournament was supposed to be the first of many. Now, it may be the last. The financial cost of the chaos has been enormous. The reputational cost has been even greater. The tour cannot afford another weekend like this. Monday morning arrived gray and overcast. The skies over Trump Doral matched the mood of the golf world. The final round would resume at 8 a.m. Security was doubled. The gates were reinforced. Police helicopters patrolled overhead. The protesters, as promised, returned. But they were kept at a distance. The players were able to focus on their games. For a few hours, golf was the center of attention again. Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy resumed their battle. Both played well. Both made birdies. Both made bogeys. The lead changed hands several times. The crowd, though smaller than Sunday, was passionate. They cheered every good shot. They groaned at every miss. It felt like a real golf tournament. Again. For a few hours, the chaos was forgotten. In the end, Scheffler prevailed. He shot a final round 71 to McIlroy's 72. He won by one shot. It was his fourth victory of the season. He raised his arms in triumph. The crowd roared. The moment was captured by dozens of cameras. It should have been a career highlight, but it was overshadowed by everything that had come before. In his winner's press conference, Scheffler was asked if the victory felt different. "It feels the same," he said. "A win is a win. But the path to this win was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I'm proud of how I handled it. I'm proud of how the tour handled it, and I'm proud to be standing here." McIlroy, who finished second, was gracious. "Scottie played great," he said. "He deserved to win. I'm disappointed, but I'm not discouraged. There are more tournaments to come." When asked about the chaos, McIlroy was less diplomatic. "It was a mess," he said. The tour needs to figure out what happened and make sure it never happens again. Fans should not have to worry about their safety when they come to watch golf. The PGA Tour has promised a full review of the events at Trump Doral. The review will examine security protocols, communication procedures, and the decision-making process that led to the suspension. The results will be made public within 60 days, but for many fans, the damage is already done. The final round at Trump Doral will be remembered not for the golf, but for the chaos. The tournament that was supposed to be a celebration became a crisis. And the golf world is left wondering, what comes next? For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell.